Hello, and welcome to Global Data Theme's Instant Insights. At Global Data, we define a theme as something that keeps a CEO awake at night, as businesses that invest in important themes will succeed, and those that don't will fail.
Hello, and welcome back to Instant Insights. I'm Sarah Coop, and today I'll be chatting to Emma Mohr-McClune and Rob Pritchard from the tech team, and we'll be chatting about some of the key technology research drivers and predictions for 2023. Hi, Emma and Rob. Thanks a lot for coming back to Instant Insights.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having us.
Hi, how you doing?
No worries at all. No, thanks a lot for coming. So let's jump straight into it. Emma, if we start with you. So could you tell us your first prediction for 2023, maybe starting with the metaverse and what you think is going to happen in this space?
The metaverse, of course, it's going to be top of mind. When we were putting our 2023 research agenda, Sarah, just to give you some context, we always try and set out our shop in terms of 7 key drivers. And we always have these really fun conversations around the August timeframe. And it very quickly occurred to all of us that we cannot avoid this topic, although if you've been on some of our webinars before, you'll understand how much we've been waving this red flag. There is simply too much overpromised in this area. And next year will be, my colleague Steve Shushand has talked about the metaverse winter as a moment to kind of retreat and retool and see what happens. If Meta's share does plunge and the investors kick up a storm and want to know what he's doing with that $100 billion investment, and when they'll see some kind of monetization from it, what's going to happen to the rest of the industry? And I think there's going to be a recognition that we'll see some niche players come in here, possibly on the devices front, or maybe even on the solutions front, and start to propose new use cases and new alliance and ecosystem structures that we've never seen before. I think we shouldn't just assume that Apple, Android, iOS duopoly will continue. We might even need a whole new kind of operating system. And unlike 3G and 4G, the thing about 5G and next gen is that the software developers will need to understand more about how to control the latency of those networks, which means, what it means, Sarah, is that the carriers are going to have to interface with the developers in a different way. And if we do end up having a whole new operating system for the metaverse, the carriers must be involved. So that's something that we're going to be very interested in covering next year.
That is, really interesting. I think it's interesting as well that you're predicting this kind of metaverse winter. I could be wrong, but I feel like the tech cycle for the metaverse has almost been quite quick, like a lot of hype and then not much substance quite quickly. But that's a really interesting point about latency and the actual kind of mechanics of what will need to happen. So if, Emma, I could have your second prediction, thinking about those 7 predictions that you've been thinking about within the tech team, what's your second one for 2023?
Well, this was really hard to pick, Sarah, because in our recent webinar, which was talking about our key drivers and predictions, there were actually 35 predictions in there.
Oh, wow.
But I think I'm going to pick up on one that my colleague talked about, and he's been saying this for a while, and it's certainly true, that cloud is going to have to change. We're going to be moving into a sort of DevOps model, and we really do need the whole artificial intelligence, machine learning, to kind of push the envelope on this, because the industry can't manage hybrid or multi-cloud without a more sort of dynamic, automated approach. And that's going to change the entire architecture of cloud itself. Cybersecurity is also going to become a sort of integral element of this cloud delivery. So we won't be talking about siloed technologies anymore. And we're going to see consolidated solutions within a sort of DevOps model for low code or automated testing. So cloud automation is another hot tip for next year.
Could you explain the DevOps model in a bit more detail, if possible, for our listeners?
So right now we have, if we're talking about cloud, then we're talking about essentially stuff in the internet which is being processed elsewhere, not on the premises, not on your devices. But as we start thinking about applications and securities and cybersecurity and the way it has to work together, then clouds are going to have to start working together. And the process for this is actually quite unsophisticated, even dare I say it, manual at this moment. So in order to really execute on this hybrid multi-cloud vision, we're going to have to leverage some of these machine learning technologies.
And do you think that will happen in 2023, or is this, I don't know, 2 to 3 year vision?
So in technology, nothing happens all at once. It's always an evolutionary cycle. Some people, depending where you sit in the industry, will say, well, hey, that's kind of already happening right now, kinda. But it's always the case when you go forward 12 months and look behind you, you realize that it's the small sort of click features, the small analytics end goals which get met, which make all the difference in terms of evolving the technology. So yes to both of those questions. Yes, it will happen in 23. And yes, it will also happen in 3 years down the line, but we'll be far further.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thanks a lot, Emma. And now just kind of moving on to thinking a bit about ESG and corporate responsibility. This has been a big topic of conversation and debate. And we also recently had COP27, was it? I'm pretty sure. Or was it COP28? I'm losing track. But anyway, it's 27. Thank you. Big topic of conversation. What do you think strategic ESG is going to mean for tech companies in 2023?
Well, I mean, obviously, the energy crisis is going to crystallize many minds and even probably provide the catalyst for many of the goals that we've seen here. And Rob, I know that you've talked about this many times before. The entire ESG approach is horribly fragmented. It's not at all ordered. And you start to see, some big auditors really raise flags, but also regulators are raising flags as well and saying we need a more harmonized approach to all of these goal setting, all of these reporting. The solutions themselves, they do different things for different use cases, for different companies, and enterprises are reporting them in different way. It's really messy. Messy, and we've got to clear a lot of that up.
Yeah, I would say within the context of what's happened in what's happening in the world over the last year with the cost of living crisis, the war, deglobalization, whereas COP26, people seem to be heading in the same direction. It feels now that it's being fragmented and impacted by other factors. Part of it is the sort of battle between EPS and ESG. So yeah, do you look at the bottom line, or are you acting as a good corporate citizen? It's going through that. It's gone from the optimism phase to a phase of confusion and consolidation. And within the fragmentation, I'd say that various companies will be taking various approaches, whereas it was more of a consensus after COP26.
Thank you very much for your insights there, both of you. It's interesting. Yeah, I think I definitely agree provable metrics will become very important. Definitely need an end to greenwashing in 2023. But thank you both very much for coming on. Thanks for those instant insights. And from us at Thematic Intelligence, we'll see you next time.